Hello, hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay. Well, let's learn English together. Now, I'm very glad to see you all here today. Yes, you all know what that means, don't you? Yes, it means that Keith, Mad Dog Pheasant, wasn't here yesterday when I had to tell Enid the bad news. No, luckily for me, Keith was in the animal hospital with a sore beak. Fantastic! I mean, obviously, it's not fantastic for Keith, but me and Rupert are over the moon. I phoned Rupert last night and told him the good news, and he was so happy that he took me and Evie for cocktails at the Ponzi Peacock. It was the first time we'd been there, and it's very nice. Anyway, hopefully by the time Keith's beak is better, he'll have calmed down and won't want to make me look like Rupert. Where's that picture again? Ah, here it is. Ooh, blimey. Keith, Mad Dog Pheasant. Nasty. Don't ever make Keith angry. That's my advice. Oh, and speaking of advice, that's what we were starting to learn about yesterday, isn't it? Well then, let's get back on track. When we make a negative or a question in the present simple, we need to use the auxiliary verb to do. And when we use the auxiliary verb to do, we have to remember to conjugate the verb. We use do for I, you, we, you and they. But. The third person singular form of do is what? That's right. The third person singular form of do is does. So, when we're making negative statements in the present simple, we use do or does. And when we're asking questions in the present simple, we also use do or does. Okay, so back to changing our statement into a question. We know that we have to start the question with do or does. We also know that the subject of the sentence is, it's Juji the brush. So we know that she's the third person singular, which means that we start with does. Okay, so we start with does and follow it with the subject. That gives us, does Juji the brush? And what comes next? Well, the next thing we need is the verb in the infinitive without to. And what do we have to be careful of? Yes, that's right. We need the verb in the infinitive. We don't conjugate the verb because we already conjugated the verb to do. We don't say, does Juji the brush thinks? No. We started the question with does, and we follow it with a verb in the infinitive without to. And what's the verb in the infinitive without to? That's right. The verb in the infinitive without to is think. So, does Juji the brush think? Okay, the question is starting to come together now, isn't it? And now, what do we put next? Well, the rest of the sentence with a question mark, of course. Who can remember the original sentence? I know, you all can. But just in case someone missed it when they nipped to the toilet, here it is again. Okay, so that's the original sentence. And from there, we've managed to get to... Okay. And all that's left is to add the rest of the sentence and what? Correct-a-doodle-doo. You're like the best firewall in the world today. Nothing's getting past you. What we need, the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle, is the question mark. Well done. So let's put it all together, shall we? Okay, so the finished question is, does Zhuzhi the brush think Michael Dudikoff is sexier than Yoda? Brilliant. Well done. And, oh, that's a point. Zhuzhi the brush, do you think that Michael Dudikoff is sexier than Yoda? You do. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an answer to the question. The answer is yes. Okay, enough about sexy Yoda and sexier Michael Dudikoff. Let's get back to where we started. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Sorry, I'll stop singing now. Sorry. Anyway, yesterday, all my... Sorry, let me try again. The day before today. Ha! Fixed it. Okay. Now, who remembers what we were looking at the day before today? That's right. We were looking at should as mild obligation, advice, and saying that something is a good idea. Okay. So we looked at the positive and negative forms of should. Great. Now, we often use should with the verb to think. We often see this combination in the positive sense. I think I should phone him. And we also often see this combination in the negative sense. I don't think you should eat it. It's a funny color. When we use the I think should combination, we're saying that I think it's a good idea. When we use the negative version, when we say I don't think you should, then we're saying that I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a bad idea. Now, when we want to use should in a question, when we want to ask someone's advice, or when we want to ask if someone thinks it's a good idea or not, we do the same thing. We use the combination of think and should. Now, the easiest way to build a question asking someone's advice is to connect a sentence using should and the question form of do you think or does he, she, it think. Start with a sentence using should. I should buy a new pair of shoes. Fine, a simple sentence. Now, if we want to turn that into a request for advice, into a question asking if you think it's a good idea, then all we have to do is put the question part of the sentence at the front and a question mark at the end. We're asking for your opinion. So the question part is talking about you. Now, if it's a question for you, then what's the form? That's right. We're using it with think because we normally use should with think, and we always use think with questions with should. So, select the correct version of the verb to do. In this case, do, and follow it with you think. So, we have two halves of one sentence. Do you think and I should buy a new pair of shoes. Okay. Now all we have to do is to put the two halves together. Do you think I should buy a new pair of shoes? Okay, almost finished, but something's missing. What? Yes, that's right. We're asking a question, aren't we? Yes, so what's the last thing that needs to go at the end of the sentence? Bingo-licious. You're right. We need a question mark to complete the sentence. Do you think I should buy a new pair of shoes? Great. That was simple, wasn't it? Take a sentence we made with should. He should lose weight, for example, and then add a question at the front of the sentence. Does she think, for example? After that, All we have to do is put a question mark at the end, and we've made a question asking if someone thinks something is a good idea. Does she think he should lose weight? Great question, but we're not going to find out the answer just yet. I'm going to call Enid in. I'm not taking any chances with Keith. That loony Keith, mad dog pheasant, needs his walks. So, Enid, are you there? Come on down, but Keith's still at home, isn't he? Oh, good. Hello, people. Hello, hello, it's me. I'm back. Yesterday, I wasn't allowed on, so I went home and took Keith to the park for an extra long walk. I'm not sure why Gav was asking about Keith just now. Oh, never mind. I'm sure it's nothing important. Now, do you all remember that the doctor told me to take up a sport? You do? Oh, good. Well, I've been trying to decide what sport to take up, which sport to start learning, and I was thinking about football. Before I decide, however, I thought it'd be a good idea to learn some of the vocabulary connected to football. So, I got a football dictionary and discovered some new things. First of all, there's the verb to kick off. This is when you start or restart the game, when the football is placed in the centre of the pitch, on the centre spot, and then one team kick the ball to begin the match. The team that kicks off is the team that won the toss. Do you know that expression? To win the toss is a phrase we use in sports. The referee throws or tosses a coin into the air, and the two captains have to call out which side they think will be showing when the coin lands. You can either call out heads or tails. Heads means that you think the coin will show a head when it lands. And tails means you think the coin will show the other side, not the side with the head. Heads is on the left of the picture. Tails is on the right. Now, when the referee tosses the coin into the air, the two captains have to decide which side will be showing when the coin lands. The person who guessed correctly wins. And in football, that means that their team kicks off. Their team starts the game. Their team starts with possession of the ball. They've got the advantage. And, oh, is that really the time? Oh, good Florence, I've got to go. Keith's waiting for a walk, and he's waiting with Rupert. Last time, well, let's just say that last time things didn't work out too well. No, poor Rupert. Oh, okay, I'm off. I'll see you all and on. Toodaloo, pip pip, chitty bye. And she's gone. Gone to pick Keith up and take him for his walk. I think Enid knows that Keith's a little bit, well, unstable. Okay, let's all hope that Keith doesn't attack Rupert like he did before. So, as you've probably noticed, we've run out of time. Okay, so, as usual, we'll pick up where we left off. We'll continue with should tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Enjoy yourselves for the rest of the day and evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow. And if you see Keith, well, keep your distance. Don't get between Keith and the park, for example. Right, have fun, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you later. Bye.